Hello, this is Dave from Coastal Electronics. This will be a quick demonstration of the installation of the Lockpick on a 2007 GM. This particular vehicle is a Tahoe. The installation is pretty common among a lot of the different GM vehicles. Tools you're going to use for this are quite simple. You have just a regular flat blade screwdriver, a small one and larger one, and a 7mm socket with extension. Actually makes it a little easier. If you're at the professional shops and stuff, we'll have an actual pry tool, but if you're trying to do this yourself, you can actually do it with a couple of small screwdrivers like this. Also, it helps to have like a business card sometimes to put in the slot and use that as a guide when you're pushing in so you don't mar the finish on your car. When you're doing the installation on this, really the main part of it is taking this trim piece off. Once the trim piece is off, then the rest of it is really quite simple. Just take out a few screws and plug it into the back of the radio. I'll begin the installation by starting in one of the top corners here. Just take your screwdriver, push it in slightly, and pull it out. And once you've begun it, then you take your bigger screwdriver, pop it around the edge, and basically all you're doing is pulling free some friction locks that are on the top side of it. Same thing on the other edge, like so. I'll reach across here, see if we can keep it going. And just moving from the top down. Once you get down to the bottom, go ahead and slide the big screwdriver all the way towards the center and pop it free. Okay. With the trim panel removed, that's going to expose the radio and the bolts that are on the outside edge. Again, 1, 2, 3, couple here. Take these bolts loose, and that'll expose the back side of the radio. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove the rest of these bolts and show you the back side of the radio, and we'll cut it off right here and start from the next spot. Okay, now we're going to prepare the installation of the module to the back of the radio. After you've removed all the screws on this, these panels will just kind of come out. Take the last screw out and the radio can now pull forward and drop. On the back of the unit, that's where connections are going to be. You can kind of go over those real quick. The harness you get with your Lockpick has a couple of connectors that match the factory ones. These are going to go directly into the back of your radio, so you unplug the black and the brown connectors. These are keyed, so you can't put them in the wrong spot. Plug these back into the factory locations, and then plug the factory connectors back into the other side of this harness right here. Also included in your harness are going to be some extra wires that are on there. These are outputs. These are to connect other units to this box and let them be powered by the Lockpick. So we have a constant power source here. We have a ground, and there's also an accessory power that will turn on and off with the car. These are not designed to be hooked to the wiring of the car. These are provided for you so you can connect other units to this box and let them power them for you. On the box itself, you have another connector on here, and there's also some dip switch settings. These set what options you have in your car and how you want this device to operate while it's plugged into your car. Set these switch settings first before you plug this into the harness. We now demonstrate the installation of the cable for the Lockpick. It's really quite simple. We're going to unplug two of the factory connectors. This is the black and the brown ones described earlier. Plug in the ones provided by the Lockpick. Generally, you want to come from the bottom side up on this. That way your cables aren't draping over the top of the factory ones. Makes for a little easier installation. Push them all the way until they click. It locks them in place. And then plug the other half of the harness into the open connector provided by the Lockpick harness. Like so. That actually completes the entire wiring. It's a plug-and-play unit. That's all you need to do to install the Lockpick. There are some extra wires we described earlier, but those are for accessory pieces. Slide the radio back into position. Pull the connectors down from below. And it locks it in space. Now you still have your connector hanging from below. This is where you're going to connect your Lockpick to. And that completes your entire installation. Just put the panels back on the dash, bolt it back in, pop the cover back onto it, and you're ready to go. Okay, finally, this is a helpful hint for installing the box itself and where to locate it at. When you get your cables below the radio, you can slide it into a slot just beneath the radio down here if you can see it. And that provides a good location for assembling the rest of the panels. It's really just a three-piece puzzle, so the radio goes in first, this piece goes behind it, the bottom piece fits into it, and then you just snap your panel right over the top of it. It just pushes in once you put your screws in first, and then just snap the panel across the top. And it completes the installation.